There is lots of hate in our society, and it's unfortunate, and this is the result.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at the most notorious individuals who tried and failed to assassinate prominent figures, only to be apprehended and end up in prison, where they remain to this day.
There should have been red flags, you know?
The things he put on the internet and nobody noticed that there might be a concern.
Kim Jin-sung. On January 2, 2024, Lee Jae-myung, South Korea's opposition leader, was at a press conference near a new airport construction site when he was approached by Kim Jin-sung. Kim pretended to ask for an autograph, but suddenly pulled out a knife and stabbed Lee in the neck. The 66-year-old real estate dealer, who was later found with an 8-page manifesto, had reportedly planned the attack months ahead, hoping to prevent Lee from ever becoming president. Fortunately, Lee survived his injuries. He was rushed to the hospital, where he underwent emergency surgery and was discharged 8 days later. Meanwhile, Kim was arrested at the scene and ultimately sentenced to 15 years in prison. Hadi Matar. 4 years, novelist Salman Rushdie lived in fear for his life after his 1988 novel The Satanic Verses led to a fatwa being issued for his death. On August 12, 2022, that fear almost became reality. While delivering a public lecture in New York, Rushdie was attacked by 24-year-old Hadi Matar, who stabbed him multiple times. Despite sustaining severe injuries, including the loss of sight in one eye, Rushdie survived. Matar, who had expressed extremist views on social media and was carrying a fake driver's license bearing the middle name of a slain Hezbollah leader, was arrested. He was charged with attempted murder in New York and later faced additional federal charges related to terrorism. If convicted, he could spend decades more in prison. Roshanara Chaudhry.
One of the most decent, gentle and loved members of the House of Commons. He hasn't got an enemy in the place. And this is a guy who would go the extra mile for any constituent and then go another mile on top of that.
British MP Stephen Timms narrowly escaped death on May 14, 2010, when he was stabbed twice during his constituency surgery at a library in Beckton, East London. The attacker, 21-year-old student Roshanara Chaudhry, was arrested on the spot and quickly confessed her motives to the police.
He's fantastic. He's a good MP. You know, he's done a lot for me. I can't understand it.
Chaudhry admitted she carried out the attack as revenge for Tim voting for the Iraq War, having been influenced by the lectures of Anwar el-Awlaki, an al-Qaeda leader who was later killed in a 2011 drone strike. Chaudhry refused to attend her trial, stating that she rejected the court's authority. Nevertheless, she was found guilty of attempted murder and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 15 years.
It was very, very sad news because he wrote to me on Wednesday to thank me because he was re-elected with a big majority.
Fernando Andrés Sabag Montiel.
Now, police in Argentina have arrested a man after the country's vice president, Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, was threatened with a gun outside her home in the capital, Buenos Aires.
This assassination attempt, which was captured live on camera, left many around the world stunned. On September 1, 2022, a man approached Argentina's vice president, Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, and pointed a gun in her face before pulling the trigger. Fortunately, the pistol failed to fire, and the assailant, Fernando Andrés Sabag Montiel, was quickly subdued and arrested.
Cristina is alive because, for a reason not technically confirmed, the gun, which contained 5 bullets, did not fire despite the trigger having been pulled.
In the weeks prior, Sabag Montiel had publicly criticized Fernández de Kirchner in a televised interview and on social media, targeting her government policies and corruption charges. This attack appeared to be the culmination of those criticisms. Since then, Sabag Montiel has been held in an isolated jail cell and, as of August 2024, is still awaiting trial for attempted homicide.
The gun was held inches from Ms. Kirchner's head, but no shots were fired and she was unharmed. Argentina's economy ministers called the incident an attempted assassination.
Vladimir Arutyunian. In May 2005, U.S. President George W. Bush visited Georgia and delivered a speech at Liberty Square in central Tbilisi. While he spoke, Bush was unaware that an attempt on his life and that of Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili had derailed. Among the crowd was Vladimir Arutyunian, who had brought a hand grenade wrapped in a handkerchief which he threw towards the podium. However, The grenade landed about 60 feet away and failed to detonate. Arutyunian escaped from Liberty Square that day, but he was arrested 2 months later following a heated chase during which he killed an Interior Ministry agent. He was convicted of the attempted assassination of both presidents and the agent's murder, resulting in a life sentence. Richard Henry Bain.
Then there was the time Bain burst into David's home early one morning.
It was 4 a.m. He opened the screen door and said he was there for breakfast. Come on, man. I've never invited anyone to my house for breakfast at 4 a.m. It was disturbing.
The 2012 Quebec general election ended with the Parti Québécois clinching a narrow victory and forming a minority government. That night, party leader Pauline Marois was giving her victory speech at the M. Telus in Montreal when gunshots suddenly rang out. Richard Henry Bain had opened fire at the back of the building, killing one man and severely wounding another.
When Bain moved up here, a few of us helped him move his things. There were cases of guns and cases of bullets. I'm a hunter and I have guns, but he had a lot of guns.
His plan was to assassinate Marois, but his rifle jammed and he was unable to proceed into the building. Instead, he started a fire at the back entrance, but was quickly apprehended and the fire was extinguished. At trial, Bain pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but he was convicted of second-degree and attempted murder and was sentenced to life.
First, we didn't believe it. But the moments once we seen it on TV, so it's for real, it's him. But no, we didn't believe it.
Why didn't you believe it?
Because we couldn't believe that he could do something like that.
Juraj Cintula.
There is lots of hate in our society, and it's unfortunate. And this is the result.
In April 2024, Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico released a video statement to address the growing polarization in the country. He warned that the tense atmosphere could result in the assassination of, quote, leading government politicians. Just 1 month later, that warning almost came true.
Yes, I can confirm that I could speak with him, but just really few minutes, because the doctors asked me to make a really very short visit to him.
While greeting supporters outside the House of Culture in Handlova, Fico was shot 5 times at close range by 71-year-old Juraj Cintula. Cintula, a poet, writer, and retired security guard, had long been critical of the government and grew increasingly disillusioned following the presidential election that April. His attempt to kill the prime minister ultimately failed, and he was charged with terrorism and attempted murder, which potentially carry a life sentence.
What happened yesterday was an individual act, but the tense atmosphere of hatred was our collective work. Today we have agreed with the president-elect to jointly invite the leaders of all parliamentary political parties together.
Jared Lee Loughner.
He was very young, dressed in dark navy sweats, and he just began shooting, and there was a sense of unreality to it.
Born and raised in Tucson, Arizona, Jared Lee Loughner had a history of mental illness and substance use disorder. According to those who knew him, Loughner had expressed sexist views and harbored a strong dislike for then Arizona Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. On January 8, 2011, Loughner acted on those feelings, opening fire at a constituent meeting Giffords was holding.
I have no reason to believe that the person was insane. Was he unstable? I would agree with that.
Although the Congresswoman survived with critical injuries, the attack claimed the lives of 6 people and left about a dozen others injured. Following his arrest, Loughner was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and initially found incompetent to stand trial. However, he underwent psychiatric treatment and was later deemed fit. Loughner ultimately pleaded guilty to 19 criminal counts and received a life sentence.
There have been red flags, you know?
The things he put on the internet and nobody noticed that there might be a concern.
Kartal Demira. On June 18, 1988, just 1 year into his second term, Turkish Prime Minister Turgut Özal survived an attempt on his life. It occurred during a party congress when a man named Kartal Demirag fired multiple shots at Özal, with one bullet narrowly missing his head and another hitting his finger. Demirag was immediately apprehended and sentenced to life, but he served only 4 years before being pardoned and released on parole by Özal, who had since become president. Fast forward to 2008, and Demirag broke the conditions of his parole and was taken back into custody. He was then retried for the attempted assassination and convicted again of the crime, this time receiving a 20-year prison sentence. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Francisco Martin Duran. The year was 1994, halfway through Bill Clinton's first term as president. Francisco Martin Duran, an Army veteran who was dishonorably discharged for intentionally hitting a woman with his car, had grown to hate the government. Fueled by this anger, he decided to assassinate the president. There was just one problem. He had no way of getting close to Clinton. So on October 29th, Duran stood outside the White House grounds and fired at a group of men, believing Clinton was among them. He was not. At trial, Duran mounted an insanity defense, claiming he was trying to destroy an alien, quote, mist around the White House. The jury didn't buy it. In less than 5 hours, they found him guilty, handing down a 40-year sentence. Did we omit any other notorious failed assassins still in custody? Let us know in the comments below.
It seems clear he had some mental health issues. How on earth did he get his hands on all those guns?
Well, we know Bain had a license. What we don't know is what he divulged in his application process.
Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.